Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Superwoman on a new digital TV channel F15. My name is Heidi Eichinger from the German language edition of Forbes, and on this broadcast I'm talking to experienced leaders, founders and executives who share lessons learned to increase diversity in their companies in order to be more productive, more efficient and hopefully more happy. After a lot of talks with top managers and entrepreneurs, I'm very happy to welcome a member of academia today. It's my great pleasure to introduce you to Barbara Stöttinger. Welcome, Ms. Stöttinger.
Thank you very much.
Barbara Stöttinger is an associate professor at the Institute of International Marketing Management at WU Vienna and Dean of the WU Executive Academy. Ms. Stöttinger is also teaching in other top universities in Austria and abroad. And having said this, she certainly deserves the title of Superwoman. Welcome again. Thanks for taking time.
Thank you very much. And thanks for the title of Superwoman.
You're welcome. You once said, things often seem to be impossible until they are done. If you had to describe the last 2 or 3 months in 2 or 3 words, which ones would they be?
I think this phrase really summarizes the experiences that we had over the last couple of weeks. Yeah, and I recall very vividly a situation in our office. I think it was the week of March 9, when you saw the kind of COVID situation coming closer to our part of the world. And realizing that on a Friday afternoon, we have to get ready to move the entire operation. And the WU Executive Academy has around 70 people in the office, move the entire operation to home office over the weekend. Yeah, so on Friday afternoon, we're sitting together with the leadership team, trying to figure out the steps we need to take to make sure that everybody starting on Monday morning will be operatively working from their homes. So how to set up technical details, how to set up the communication channels, and not to forget, business didn't stop at this weekend. Yeah, so we had to move really quickly. And I think looking back in hindsight, if you had asked me before, is something like that possible? I would say never. Yeah, I would either be in shock, yeah, or I would laugh at you in this situation. But again, looking back, I think it's been a tremendous push for the entire organization.
So if I would come back to those 3 words, it would be probably like kind of supernatural power, stress, and I don't know.
I would say it's teamwork. Yeah. It's a lot of positive spirit and it's innovativeness. Yeah, nobody has been in that situation before in our context, but I think in many other contexts as well. So there was no way that we could copy from previous experiences, see what we can take from the past and project it to the future. We really had to, develop our pioneer qualities, go into uncharted land, and try to survive more or less.
Mm. So what we've already also heard from other companies is that a lot of processes and topics have been speeded up in order when it comes to digitalization. Was it the same for university? I mean, just to have like kind of a comparison, like the regular economy and the academia?
I think, and I have several hats within WU Vienna, so I'm teaching in the regular bachelor and master's program, but I also am responsible predominantly for executive education as my main job, more or less. So I've experienced this situation from many different perspectives. If I look at my role as a faculty, as a teacher, I think we had to switch from 100% physical presence in the classroom to digital teaching 100%. Yeah, of course, there were a couple of tools, if you think of MS Teams, for example, that allowed interaction, but you really had to change very quickly things that we have developed over many years and have perfected over many years into a completely different setting. Yeah, and online teaching is a very different thing from physical presence in the classroom. The interaction that you get, the immediate feedback that you get from students, what did they learn, or where would they need more information for them, but also the exchange between the students. And this is something that we see particularly for our target groups. At the Executive Academy, we're working with executives and high potential. So they learn a lot from this exchange and how to make that possible, how to promote these activities online. That's been a huge challenge, yeah, and it has moved us really from 0 to 100% in terms of digital teaching. Of course, we always had support platforms, we always had learning management systems, but the actual teaching still predominantly was taking place in the lecture room, and that was not possible from one day to another. Yeah, so I think that has been a huge push for the university in general, particularly for our enterprise here at the WUEA Executive Academy, and it has demanded a lot from faculty, from students, but also from staff. Yeah. So if I use this analogy that I said, okay, we transferred everybody to home office over the weekend, the same thing had to happen for all the courses that we had laid out, yeah, and planned for. We started one of our major programs in April, yeah, so we had to think about how to start this program, how to keep customers or students in that case still interested in what we're doing. Yeah, so it's been a tremendous effort, but it has released a lot of the creativity that we're always very proud of within ourselves. Yeah, so as I said, the three words, teamwork, enthusiasm, innovativeness, I think these have been the three key words that have guided us through that situation.
Mm-hmm. Did also like the contents change a little bit, because you mentioned before that you have been in dialogue with the executives that do your programs. Is there something also changing in the curriculum, or
well, curriculum changes are something that takes a little bit longer time. Yeah, it has to go through certain committees, and that's more or less university internal processes. But what definitely changed is that the crisis basically has highlighted and has put the focus on many different aspects that we teach. Yeah. So how do you react as a leader in times of crisis? Yeah? So when we talk about a leadership module, and that was the first one in the Global Executive MBA that we started in April, how do you react to a situation like that? Yeah, what can we learn from previous crises, for example? Or if you think of a marketing module, yeah, so what do you do in order to create value and benefit to existing, but also to new customers? How do you communicate in a crisis? How do you handle your financials in such situations? So I think the crisis has been kind of a additional focus in the different topics that we are teaching. And I think when we move on in this crisis and we see many business models changing, of course, we will also have that included in other topics as well as we go along in the curriculum.
So for a long-term view, there will be more changes, probably.
I think in the curriculum, yes, but predominantly in the way how we teach. Yeah, we also realized in this situation that the most precious time we have is really the classroom time. Yeah, when our faculty from WUEA, from our international partner schools, come to the classroom and discuss with the students who also come from many different countries. Yeah, on average around 20 to 25 countries. This is something that we feel very strongly about. It has been a challenge in times like that with all the travel restrictions. Yeah, but this learning environment and the direct interaction is the most precious time we have. So therefore, what we gain from this situation is basically look even more stringently on what can we outsource in the outside of classroom time, do online, do with moderated forums or whatever, so that we really make the most out of this time when everybody actually can come together.
Mm. It's all about the networking also. And how fast or slow did your students adapt?
I think our students are all successful in their businesses, in their professions. They are all confronted with the same situation in their companies. So the speed was not necessarily the issue to say how do we get them on board. I think what was challenging for us, and I'm pretty sure also for our students, is to handle all of a sudden the different situation in terms of workload. Yeah, nobody knew what would be ahead of us. How much time do we have to put into online teaching? How much time would our students have to put into their corporate environment in order to sustain their jobs? So I think this additional time issue time constraints issue. Don't forget, many of our students also have families, so issues like homeschooling or providing care for your family definitely is also something that has basically changed the way how we approached it. Because you mentioned networking, and this has been one of our biggest concerns. Yeah, of course, teaching, we know online teaching has been around for some time, so there are best practices you can pick up very quickly, and faculty has been tremendously supportive along those lines. Yeah, so from day one, they have really reached out to us proactively and said, how can we help? How can we make sure that our classes work well in this context? Networking is a very important part of the experience, the learning experience. Yeah? And therefore, we all know we're humans. Networking works best if we see each other, if we have the chance to interact over a glass of wine, a cup of coffee. And this is something, of course, that you cannot do to the same extent online. However, and this is again where innovativeness, teamwork, creativity comes in, our alumni have been extremely creative and supportive in that role. Yeah, so we had our students and alumni come back and say, hey, I have the idea, we could do a virtual alumni meeting, and started organizing that and started reaching out and started inviting interesting speakers talking about the crisis. So I remember we had one alumnus who is working as an economist in a very well-known Austrian bank serving CE markets, and he shared his insights in how do we think the crisis will unfold. So I think we found, again, a lot of interesting ways to communicate, to stay in touch, and to provide value. And the nice thing about that, like the digitalization in teaching, I think we will also keep some of those aspects as we move along, and hopefully have the crisis behind us at some point in time.
Mm-hmm. So as I understood correctly, you didn't have a lot of cancellations, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fortunately so. This has been one of our big concerns, of course. We realized that in these challenging times where people lose their jobs, have to reduce their workload, have so many other things going on in their lives, they might not necessarily think as education being their top priority. On the other hand, if you look at an MBA program, this is not something that you decide on the spot. You have made your commitments, you have made your decisions, your thoughts, and you try to get through with it. And that's what we try to offer. To say, you all have your timetables, you want to finish on time, we support with online teaching. And if for whatever reason you find that online did not fully give you what you expected on the topic, on the networking, then come back next year. Yeah, so we do expect that the situation will get a different one. People can travel more freely, so we offer the opportunity to come back to do those modules that we have moved online in the physical presence again. And I think that has helped many people to take the stress off saying, do we get the value in this situation that we have paid for?
Mm. What did change in your personal life? I mean, how do you approach work now? Are you working more like most of us do?
I have to say I always work a lot, and the reason for that is because I really love what I'm doing. So I'm very passionate about my work. So I sometimes don't feel like it's work. Actually, it's very enriching. But of course, these last weeks have been a tremendous addition to the regular workload. Yeah, and I think that also is not only true for me, but for many others. For me personally, I think I am very grateful. Yeah, because in these times I had a luxury position. Yeah, when I look at my private environment. Where I did not have to worry about homeschooling. My kids are old enough to take care of themselves. I did not have to worry about my job. I had a lot of work, but that was a luxury problem compared to situations. And we do have participants, for example, from tourism, where the situation is very challenging at the moment. Yeah. And I've been healthy through all this situation. Yeah. So having a lot of work and being healthy, I think, is really the best thing that can get you to the crisis. So I'm really very humble. I try to do the best where I am right now for our students, for my team, for the university as a whole, yeah. And being a scientist, apart from an education administrator, if you so want, I find it very interesting times that we're going through, yeah, at many different levels. And I think many of us have made those experiences. Where are those people that you can rely on? How does all this investment in personal relations come back to you in situations where you have those challenges? And I must say, I've been really, really blessed from faculty side, from student side, but also from the team that we have been through that together, and that makes me really proud and very humble and thankful.
I have to ask you one last question. I mean, have there been any situations where you were surprised by yourself?
Probably in the way how I felt, how calm I was. It's not that that we didn't have our challenges, yeah, or that we don't have our challenges. And it will be business-wise a very tough year for us, yeah. And we are working kind of as a profit center, so it's not like somebody will come and take care of us, yeah. We have to reach our sales goals. We have to pay the salaries for the team, and that has been a great burden, so to speak, on my shoulders, but also the leadership team here to try to do the best. And I think what's helped is a certain kind of resilience. It was not the first crisis in my life, so to speak. Of course, not of that magnitude. We all are going through unprecedented times. At least in our part of the world, or in my lifetime, I feel. But there have been situations in my life which were not comfortable, moved me out of my comfort zone, were critical situations. And I think that has helped me to rely back on my strengths and say, it's yet another mountain to climb, but let's see how the learnings from the past crisis can help me here. And that has helped me tremendously, I think, through the situation.
Sounds very confident and positive.
I'm surrounded by great people who always are here and support me if I need something, and I hope to give the same back. And I think, as I said in the beginning, 3 words: teamwork, innovativeness, and enthusiasm is what moves you forward.
Yeah, that's the most important, the people. Barbara Stöttinger, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for this interesting talk. Thank you also to our viewers for tuning in, for your interest. If you want to see more episodes of Superwoman or other formats that we broadcast, please subscribe to our channel. Button should be here below somewhere. Thanks again for your insights and time, Barbara Stöttinger. Hope to see you soon. Take care and goodbye.
Thank you very much. It was a really great pleasure. To all the viewers, most important thing, stay healthy.
Thank you. Bye.